What is up, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, bringing you the C3 podcast. It's Tuesday night. It's 10 o'clock. I'm dizzy. I'm in a frenzy. It is Free Agent Frenzy, episode 15.6. I'm excited to be here. We got the whole crew in action. What is up, that freaking Puerto Rican?
Tony Dunn, it is a good day to be a football fan. There's all types of Madden-like action taking place around the league. It really is a frenzy. Frenzy is I don't even know if that's a strong enough word. It's utter chaos.
That is the truth, chaos. Mel Mayock, Aaron Ford, what is up?
What's going on, Professor? Glad to be here, man. It's been an absolutely crazy day. Not just free agency, man. It started out the day with trades. Crazy stuff going on, man. I was telling the freaking Puerto Rican earlier today that I kind of feel like the poor kid at the mall with all of his rich friends. Watching them buy stuff. Everything they want. Yep, and we're sitting there, can't even afford the dollar store. But
hope they buy you an ice cream cone.
From time to time, they did. Yeah.
Hoping their mother buys you a Happy Meal because your mother packed you a tuna fish sandwich.
And I told him he was a liar because he never had any friends.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
man.
know one thing. My mama packed the soggy tuna fish sandwich for me. Joey's mama packed him beans and rice.
Exactly right.
J-Ray, big play J-Ray. It's been a long time. We've been trying to track you down. You are the man of mystery.
I am. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be on here and represent Panther Nation, ready to talk free agency.
All right, well, we've got a lot to talk about. Today was the official start of the free agent signing period, even though it began on Saturday, even though they don't want to admit it, and the NFL gave everybody a spanking on the hands with a letter saying, bad, everyone. But there's been plenty of action leading up today. Teams, there's these leaks. The Carolina Panthers and other teams have been locking up guys that they've wanted. So we're going to jump into, or wanted to keep and prevent from hitting the market. Today was a whirlwind. We're going to talk and dive into all of that. As usual, we also play Finish That Thought, Fact or Fiction, and you guys got to stick around because the Ice Up Picks of the Week will not disappoint. So let's go ahead and jump in. But right away, before we give you any info, we got to remind you, go ahead, follow us on Twitter, @cat_chronicles. Like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Carolina Cat Chronicles. If you're watching on YouTube, I see you. Go ahead and hit the sub up button, right? And you know what? You want to listen to us later because I know you do. It's easier to listen than it is to watch. So go ahead into the website, go to podcasts. You can click podcasts, and then you can download us, subscribe on your favorite podcast player. So, like iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn. Ooh, that was like free agency. Now I'm ready to go, guys. It's time for the Professor's Lectern. Today, it wasn't just, as Mel Mayock said, it wasn't just moves and big signings. In fact, the signings were actually relatively uneventful. We knew most of them were coming. The big money deals had been done. But then the Philadelphia Eagles and Chip Kelly dropped the damn bomb on the NFL and destroyed Twitter. If anything could break Twitter, which it did not today, so Twitter is invincible, it was what happened today. Joe, what's your initial thoughts on, I don't even know what happened with the Eagles. At some point, they traded for Sam Bradford, also moved up maybe to get a number 2 pick. How did this go down? And then it gets trendy. Things got trendy, and then the Saints jumped into action. What did you think of today's action, Joey?
It was really fast-paced. I don't know where Chip Kelly's headed in this direction. He's trying to make his team the Oregon Ducks East or the Philadelphia Ducks or some combination of his college team and professional team. Really it makes you wonder, does he really think Madden is for real? Does he think he can go in and create a team like he would on Madden?
Well,
He's
what
trying.
he totally did, is tell us that we've been far too conservative with our Madden franchises.
Obviously.
So it was wild. We have a special guest who just joined us. Sharona, what is up?
Shout out,
Oh,
Panthers.
Oh, yeah.
Get out. Yeah.
Nice shirt.
Look
Oh.
at that.
Thanks for having me.
We are glad. Are you exhausted from today?
I am, but you know what? How exciting was that? I was glued to Twitter. I took my phone to the bathtub with me. I was like watching free agency, trying to get ready.
Go ahead and
Women multitask.
introduce yourself for all the listeners and viewers.
Well, I am Sharona. You can find me on the Twitters at Sports by Sharona. And I want to thank you guys for having me. I've missed you guys. I used to cover the NFC South for NGSC Sports and got a chance to meet the guys from Cat Chronicles. I'm so honored that you would have me. But you can find me now at NFL Female and at Pro Player Insiders and on the radio every Friday on Game Over with Vashti and Sharona.
You have very hard. There have been you might be the busiest person on YouTube.
That's why she's a first lady of football.
Do I get a cookie for that?
Well, you did get my favorite free agent in Denoris Cersei.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah,
It's a solid
that's it.
signing. Yeah.
I think that's a good pick. You know, a young guy, solid talent. All right, so let's jump out. Sharona, we're going to jump in and talk about some of the events from today. I want to open it up, Mel. News breaks that the Eagles try to break the NFL system and Twitter, and then the New Orleans Saints, in the drunken town and the gambling town they are, they said, we see your trades and we raised them a redheaded stepchild, and we're even shopping the greatest player we've ever had, essentially. What are your reactions to the Philadelphia Eagles and the Saints defying the typical rules of the NFL?
Well, I'm just curious. I'm wondering if there's any truth to the rumor that maybe Marty Herney has showed up as the secret consultant to these GMs.
No, not at all. Marty Herney would just promote from within.
Pay everybody from within, right?
There
But
you go.
man, you look at the Philadelphia Ducks, man. It's amazing to me to think 2 years ago you had 3 players that each had over 1,300 yards: Jeremy Maclin, Shady McCoy, and Deshaun Jackson. Right? I mean, and they're all gone. And then he goes out and he's going to pay a 32-year-old running back $7.5 million a year, and the guy ends up turning him down. So then what does he do is he takes his quarterback, who he's only owing $1.5 million, trades for a guy coming off his second ACL tear that is guaranteed $13 million.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't get it, man. Now, you know, there was a rumor, Sharona, in the middle of the day that there was a trade where Philadelphia was going to send Sanchez and their first-round pick to Tennessee for the number 2 pick, but that did not go through. What's the status of that?
Yeah, there are a lot of rumors going around right now. I don't see that happening. I don't know what the Titans. I don't think a lot of people know what the Titans want to do at quarterback. Perhaps they're not entirely sure either. You know, they hold the number 2 overall selection. I think that if they're wanting to, and they like Zach Mettenberger. Zach Mettenberger is a guy that they moved up in late in the draft, gave up their 7th round selection to move up in the 6th round and take him. He was a guy that Kim Wisenhunt wanted to see play last year. He did play last year, and when he was healthy, you saw signs that he could legitimately be possibly a good quarterback in the league. If they're going to do something there, I think that they would far prefer to have Jameis Winston over Marcus Mariota because Jameis Winston is more of a pro-style quarterback. Are they going to go out and make a blockbuster trade to bring in a veteran guy? It would not. I mean, a move like that would be a Ken Whisenhunt move. He likes veteran guys. He likes Charlie Whitehurst too, and he's got Charlie Whitehurst, who has the luckiest job in the NFL, quite frankly. So,
The Clemson graduate.
yeah.
Yes, he is.
So, I think if they're going to make a move, they like Charlie Whitehurst. I don't see. They're not
Charlie
going.
Whitehurst.
Yeah, they're not going to make a move.
How
Sorry,
old is
Titans fans. Huh?
The quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Played in
How old is
Seattle.
he?
He's been in the league for. I think he'll be an 11-year vet next year.
Well, guys, if you don't follow, and I know everybody on this panel does, but out there in the Twitter world, if you don't follow Sharona, you need to. I was cracking up today, Sharona, with your. All right, staff says we need to sign somebody. Who should we get? Somebody else says, well, there's some social media around Greg Hardy. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was having some fun today.
Yeah.
Justin, I want to get your reactions today in the frenzy that was free agency.
Are we talking about the Eagles or overall?
Overall, I mean, you can take it where you want to go.
I'm with, how do you pronounce your name? I'm sorry.
Sharona.
Sharona. Sorry.
Sharona.
Nice to meet you, Sharona. Sorry.
Nice to meet you, too. No worries.
I was at work all day watching Twitter, when the boss walked by, I popped Twitter back up. It was pretty hard to follow everything that's going on. I did not catch Jimmy Graham being traded until JP tweeted at me saying he was traded. I believe that. I had to look into that. That was pretty crazy. Did not expect that. So that makes me wonder just what the Saints are going to do next with Drew Brees.
He's reportedly on the block.
Really?
He's got a huge
For a
cap number.
fifth-round pick.
Yeah,
Right.
reportedly
He's
on the
got-
trade block.
A $26 million cap number.
Wow.
It's a
I
fire.
heard the Saints. I heard the Saints were willing to trade the Superdome for a compensatory pick for a fifth-round pick. Aaron sent me the news today that Jimmy Graham had been traded and to the Seahawks.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Seriously, out of all the teams.
They already had Luke Wilson, who spells his last name wrong.
Yeah, for like a fourth round. Wasn't it a fourth-round pick, too?
I think so.
Well, they got Max Unger, though.
Right.
Yes, they got the center, too. That's true.
I don't care. It doesn't matter. It does matter who it is, but that is a bold-ass move. The best player. And he's young. So it's not like
And they just signed into a new deal.
I know, and they broke their backs to do it. The only thing that could have been worse if they traded him to the Patriots
Oh, yeah.
for
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a seventh-round pick.
That's
what the Patriots were at. That's what the Patriots were offering up. Was a seventh-round pick for Jimmy Graham probably, and I'm surprised the Redskins didn't do it. But my response when I heard Jimmy Graham was traded was bullshit. That was just
It was.
bullshit.
That was a quote to me.
And it was not. It was real shit. And it was crazy, dude. Now let me ask you this: what does this do to the dynamics of the NFC South? What you have right now is you have the New Orleans Saints really essentially trying to throw away the season, it looks like. Or say we're rebuilding.
They're blowing up the team.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like this. And now you have the Atlanta Falcons. Is Tampa Bay legitimately the number 2 favorite in the? Do they have an opportunity to overtake either of those teams for the number 2 spot in the NFC South?
Here's a better question.
Mel.
Here's a better question. Will the talking heads actually say that the Panthers are favored? I don't think they will.
Never.
Mm-mm.
No,
I think they will. I think they'll say the Falcons are favored for next year.
Right. I would agree with that.
I can believe that.
Even
What
though
does
they have
this do?
nobody at running back.
How good was this for the Carolina Panthers? Were you as happy today, Mel, with Jimmy Graham leaving the New Orleans Saints as you would have been with us just getting a pretty good free agent?
I was happy because anytime something bad happens to the Saints, I'm very happy. But no, I would like to have seen us make a big splash today. But hey, sometimes a splash is not a good thing.
Joe, what does this do to the NFC South?
The only way I would have been happier today is if the Panthers would have re-signed Greg Hardy.
There you go.
That would have been the only thing that made me happier. It totally shakes up the NFC South. Now the draft really matters.
Do you think that they will? There's reportedly no interest.
Right, I don't think they will. No, I don't, but I really want them to. I don't think we need him, but we would be so good if we had him.
I'm going to play devil's advocate on the NFC South, and I know that the Jimmy Graham trade was weird, man. It was just weird.
It was freaky, dude.
But the Saints were $20 million over the cap. And they've got to make some moves. They've got to blow it up. They can't sustain that. They know it. Drew Brees has been an outstanding quarterback in the league, but everybody's time comes to an end. I think that they're doing what they have to do to rectify a situation that they just couldn't continue down the path that they were down. Are they going to trade Drew Brees? I guess that we will see. Maybe that's a message to that trade, and those talks are a message to some guys that, look, here's the situation. We've got to redo some deals. We've got to clear up some money. Either you're on board with that, or we're going to ship you out. So, it's the first day of free agency. I think that the Saints still have plenty of time to make moves to try to get themselves in a position to be successful. In the NFC South, for the Saints, I'm far more concerned about their ownership issues.
Right.
They've got a serious battle looming over Tom Benson, and so it's going to be interesting to see.
Children suing him and saying he had to have the court ordered a mental test to see if he was in a proper state of mind. Right now, I'm thinking, though, that somebody's got to order that same test for their GM, because it is like the Saints have run their organization from a bar on Bourbon Street. Is that they doled out money. I mean, this is what they had to do because they put themselves in that situation. It's not, and it's odd. I wonder how much of this was when they brought in Bird last year, if they legitimately thought that last year was going to be a Super Bowl run year.
Oh, I think so.
I do too.
Yeah.
So they just went all in last year.
Yeah.
And it didn't work, and now they got to pay.
And what they're saying now, Professor, is, we got to protect the middle of our line because they were getting way too much pressure on Drew Brees, right? And we were spreading the ball out, trying to be cute, and we didn't have the line to support it. So now they're doing what they can to solidify and protect their shorter quarterback, and then plan on running the ball more.
They definitely got to run the ball more.
What they're saying here is we've got to make some moves, and nobody is untouchable.
Yep.
Putting Drew Brees out there, you're saying, hey, we've got to dump some salary. Anybody's available. And
it's got to be when you're $20 million over. I mean, that's not that's no chump change. You know what I'm saying? That's that made the Carolina Panthers cap problems last year look like just like you spent a little extra on your credit card one month.
Yeah. Yeah.
They bought a house on a credit card.
They had to take drastic measures. There's no question about that. But it's just we're very, very, very early into the process, and there's some more free agency to go. There's a draft to go, and then there's going to be another free agency. if I had to pick right now, I think the to me, I would say the Panthers are sitting in the cat daddy seat in
You're
the
a smart
NFC
woman.
South.
Daddy.
Well,
Smart.
and I'm not doing that because I love Panthers Nation and because I'm sitting here. I think you guys know me well enough to know that if I didn't think that, I wouldn't say it.
Absolutely.
That's true.
All right,
Well-
let's talk about the Panthers for a moment then. Is that while the Seattle Seahawks are getting Jimmy Graham, we signed Michael Orr, Ted Ginn Jr., Fozzie
That's
Whitaker,
back.
and Brenton Bersin.
So
Greg
tell
Olsen.
me
Don't
tell me
forget
about that
Greg
whiteboard.
Olsen.
What's that whiteboard mean behind you there, Professor? What's that got to do with?
Okay, this whiteboard is out of our conversations today on.
Okay, that's my new insult. To be honest, I'm gonna use that.
Yes, and it's not going anywhere. Trendy Dick Sob is the new saying, and what this comes out of is that I was advocating for us to bring back, and I forgot to mention that we brought back Ed Dixon today on a 3-year deal. Now, it surprised me how late it turned out. Obviously, he was testing the waters. The Panthers wanted to see what was going down. Well, what happened is that we're signing Ed Dixon while every other team in the whole NFL is making these huge moves. And I'm like, oh, the Seattle Seahawks get Jimmy Graham, and we get Ed Dixon. And I mistyped it when I was texting Aaron, and I typed, and we get Dick Sob.
And I was racking my brain for why he would be insulting me.
And I was like, you know what? This really encapsulates what I was trying to say, is that
Exactly.
they get Jimmy Graham and we get Dick Sob. And then the trendy part is the idea is this. I cannot remember really the last time major trades went down in the NFL. I mean, I guess the Percy Harvin trade last year. I'm trying to rack my brain. I guess you could say when the Washington Redskins moved up to number 2 to get
Jay
rarely-
Cutler trade from Denver to Chicago.
Yeah, but rarely is it player for player, and never is it quarterback for quarterback.
Yeah, and today we had trade after trade, and now to me it was like everybody was channeling Kevin Costner in draft day today.
That was a good move.
It was a good movie. I can tell you this, is that they might have been channeling Kevin Costner, but those salary cap experts are nowhere as attractive as that one in that movie was.
I think the Browns definitely need Kevin Costner. I don't know why they signed Brian Hartline. That was dumb.
That was dumb.
I mean, I think that would have been
Brian Hartline.
that was a good guy. I think he's going to be a good addition. I don't think he's a number 1. But here, let's go ahead and turn this to Sharona. What have we got with Michael Orr? The Blind Side. In fact, all over my Twitter feed now is the lady from the movie, and her name is Tui?
Leanne Tui.
Tui. Miss Tui, yes.
Yes. First of all, I just have to say that I totally read that as Trendy Dick Son of a Bitch. Can I say that? Is that?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Well, so I'm glad to know that it's. I don't know. I like my way better. My new insult is Trendy Dick Son of a Bitch. That's my final answer.
Hashtag it.
Like it.
Michael Orr. Michael Orr, fans love a whipping stick, a whipping post to blame things on. Michael Orr wasn't very good last year, but he had. I still think he's got some football left in him. I hope that you're not planning on him being your long-term, and I don't think that you are, your long-term solution there. But he's not as bad as some people like to make it sound. He started out actually pretty strong. He had a toe injury. He ended up on injured reserve. I think that part of that was by design, because I think that they had already planned on going in another direction and wanted to get somebody else in there. but don't hold me to that. That's just my sense of the thing. He is probably a little bit better in the run game than he is in. I don't know though. Gosh, that's so hard. He's a guy
that's tackle. Is he a right tackle? Is that what it comes down to?
He actually might be better on the left side. I don't know. Well, you guys need a left tackle, right? So is he going to be your left tackle?
Yeah. For right now, we don't have anybody else.
Who's your right tackle again?
Mike Rimmers.
Okay.
He actually did pretty good last year.
He did pretty good, but he only played 7 games. 6 games.
I think that he's a little bit better at left tackle myself. I do. I think that he's a little bit better at left tackle than he is at right tackle. But that's not saying a whole lot because he does tend to get overpowered at times. And there were a couple of times last season where I wondered if he plays really hard, but there were a couple of times I thought that he might have given up on the play. But when you're the Titans' offensive line, part of the problem for them last year was that they left their guys out alone on an island. They had some backup left tackle that they pulled off the street. I don't even remember the dude's name, but they had him one-on-one with J.J. Watt.
That's never going to work.
It's not good to have a Pro Bowl left tackle one-on-one with J.J. Watt, and they had this poor scrub trying to block J.J. Watt, and I think actually that's when Jake Locker was lost for the year. He got hit, and Jake Locker got lost for the year. So it's hard to evaluate the Titans' offensive line play because they didn't give their guys. They didn't have running backs in chipping or trying to help pick up, the blitz or whatever. But I think Michael Orr is a guy that's going to play hard. I think he's still pretty solid. He can play both sides of that tackle position. So I liked the signing, by the way. I think that it was a pretty good depth move for the Panthers.
I agree. I think that we know about a team that uses their left tackle as the whipping post or the whipping boy. We did that to Byron Bell, deservedly so in many cases. I know that Michael Orr played through a lot of injury. He's asked to do a lot. Ray, are you okay with this move? And then tell us what you think about Michael Orr, and then turn the conversation into Ted Ginn returns.
All right, so I'm okay with this move. I feel like he provides some good leadership. It's always good to have competition. As of right now, he's probably starting at left tackle, but of course I think we're going to draft to that position. So he would provide good depth, like she said, and he could probably move to guard if someone struggles. The other day wearing a Panther shirt, several people I've never even met came up to me, hey, we signed Michael Orr. So they like his story. They've seen the movie, Panther Nation's growing. So that's pretty cool to see that. And then the Ted Ginn sign. I think that was a great sign. I know Joey doesn't like the guy, but we haven't had a good special team in a while. He came in, did a great job returning kicks. So I like the sign.
So tell us why you don't like Ted Ginn.
I don't like Ted Ginn because of his inconsistencies with the deep ball. I mean, he's fast. That's what we want him to do, go deep. But he's so inconsistent with catching the ball. That's where my issue is. If every route he runs is under 20 yards, I like the odds of him catching it. But you get outside of 20 yards, and it's very iffy. The only way is to guarantee him catching the ball outside of 20 yards is if Cam Newton punts it to him. Then we'll know.
He'll return that for a damn. He'll take that to the house.
Right, exactly.
He's got stone hands. He's got stone hands. And he's got alligator arms or T-Rex arms. When he gets in the deep ball, his arms retract. You remember how? Do you remember Inspector Gadget when he had the arms that went? He had the Go-Go Gadget arms.
Mm-hmm.
Ted Ginn is the opposite of that. He has the yo-yo arms, man, and they just come in. And now here's the thing: is that Mel, tell us what you think about, because we're hard, and Sharona, just to give you the skinny on this receiver, we are sticking to our guns. The fact that the sad matter is that we're actually happy that he's coming, and we we hate him. So Mel, tell us why why this is a good move and a good sign by the Carolina Panthers.
Well, how many times last year did we all hold our collective breath as Sunshine was back returning punts?
Oh, it was awful. It was awful.
Every week. So right there, for that alone, it's worth the signing. He is night and day compared to Sunshine in returning punts.
How much money did we give him?
I think he got $4 million over. I think it was $4 million.
2.1 a year over 2 years.
But then he got a workout bonus. I think it's going to cost us like over $6 million for him.
So
he's for a punter.
Yeah, he's a punt returner, 4th or 5th receiver option.
But do remember this, in the game again, in the playoff game, when he came to Carolina and played for the Cardinals.
That's because he was loyal to us.
Yeah, right. The big fumble he had, that really was a big momentum.
Hey, man, everybody makes a big mistake. But over his career.
I won't argue that.
Joe, you'll be thinking Ted Ginn in January.
I hope so.
Ted Ginn knew that the worst special teams in the league was coming for him, so he fumbled it. Here, this is what I got to say first, and this is my reaction. We put up a piece, the crew reacts to Ted Ginn's return, and I hope people get it. Ted Ginn's return.
No, nobody got it until right now.
Hey, that's pretty funny.
Joe. And you even wrote in it. That's funny. The other thing is that my boy, Dwayne Harris, got signed to a big deal for him for the New York Giants, stays in the NFC East.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's who I wanted. That's who I wanted instead of Ted Ginn.
Got a 5-year contract, dude.
Oh, wow. Good for him.
But it was like $7.5 million guaranteed, but that's big time for a guy that's awesome. For a returner. That's a huge contract. But you're right. Mel is right. Every time anybody punted the ball to us, at one point in the season, I asked Brenton Bersin to just run.
Wait a minute. I gotta stop you right there. Can we do a cut and a clip and put it up on the website that just says Mel is right every time? And then
never.
Especially when it comes to wine versus beer.
Oh,
you're wrong there.
Mel also thinks that Russell Wilson played for NC is a Wolfpack alum.
Ooh. He was, man. Come on. He was.
Okay. So at one point in the season, when Brenton Bersin was going out there to field punts, my request was for him, when the ball was in the air, instead of him fair catching it, to run directly to the sidelines and check himself out of the game.
Yep.
So this was my reaction, the professor's reaction to Ted Ginn's return after the Panthers' palpitating special teams performance last year. I am partially pumped to have this punt returner back. I like alliteration. If you
what beautiful alliteration!
It was beautiful alliteration. I bow to you.
So this is what we get. We get an exciting free agent season or day to kick it off. We get Michael Orr from the Blind Side movie. We get Ted Ginn Jr. Sunshine is coming back, and Ed Dixon. That, like one person said on Twitter, is what it's like to no longer shop at the thrift store.
Hey, don't forget Dwan Edwards.
Yeah, that's a big move.
Those guys, by the way, are over 33.
That's all right.
1 year.
All right.
That's it.
Right now, I think this time, Sharona, we play some games on the podcast now.
Oh, boy.
All right. And we have 2 games. This first one is Finish That Thought. And let's go ahead and jump into it.
Sometimes I just don't get people. Human beings are so weird. Who talks in front of a camera by themselves for fun? Who thought that was a good idea? These ideas, some of these things that you use every day. Who's the guy or a girl that was like,
Love it.
good idea.
It is time for Finish That Thought, where I pose a incomplete thought to you guys, and you finish it. We'll let Joe go first. I've been thinking about changing this segment to Deep Thoughts with Joey Riollano. You'll see why. You will see why right here. Joey, finish that thought. The Saints move Graham to Seattle, and shopping breeze is...
The Saints moving Graham to Seattle and shopping breeze is Hernie-esque.
Hernie-esque, echo. All right, J-Ray, the Saints move Graham to Seattle, and our shopping breeze is... Deep thoughts with J-Ray.
Trying to. I'll say the Saints are secretly working for the Seattle Seahawks. I think each time they win a playoff game or championship, they're slipping the Saints some money. So just might as well give them all their good players.
Mel, take it to the house. The Saints move Graham to Seattle, and shopping breeze is...
It is absolutely poetic justice, baby. It is sweet to watch New Orleans have to pay the piper.
Implode.
Yep. It's beautiful.
All right, Sharona, you are up. Saints move Graham to Seattle, and shopping breeze is...
It's smart. They've got to make that move. It's not popular. They're going to take a lot of clowning from people like you guys who are going to enjoy. Listen, I lived through the days when the Titans traded their franchise quarterback Steve McNair to the hated Baltimore Ravens.
I know what tell you, you're still living in those days.
Well, but I'm we don't have one. We haven't had one of those guys since then. So it's when a team is in cap hell, a lot of tough decisions have to be made, and that's a tough one.
All right, Joey. You know what I'm going to say is this is...
let me say one more thing, if you'll let me. Will you let me say one more thing?
Please.
I think Jimmy Graham is an incredible talent. He's a guy. He's a tight end who operates as a wide receiver, but he's not an every down tight end. He's not a guy that he's a guy that gets a lot of red zone work, right? Which is good and it's important and everything, but that's a lot of money for. And I don't want to call him a one-trick pony. I think he's a good player, maybe even a great player, but their value would have been better spent, in my opinion, on their mistake was in giving him that contract, in my opinion.
Who's worth more money? Is it Graham or homeboy in
Gronkowski?
Well, I think it's Gronk. I think Gronk is a guy that you can. I think Gronk is a guy that that brings a little bit more to your offense. And don't get me wrong. I mean, Jimmy Graham had 11 touchdowns the year before last, not this past year. I think that we saw why last year, why it was a mistake to give him that contract.
Well, I got to tell you, anytime we played the Saints, if we were going to lose to them, it was because Jimmy Graham was a matchup nightmare.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I agree, but
special athlete.
I think this is just to not to follow up on that is that Jimmy Graham did have the greatest tight end season in history. That year that him and Gronk went crazy. The other thing is why don't we just call him a wide receiver then? Is that contract too big for him?
Let me say why I said this is poetic justice, because I find it ironic that his buddy, who now is acting all surprised about his trade to Seattle, and the same guy that said, you know what, I'm going to hold out and take every single dollar I can. And, oh, by the way, when Jimmy Graham was up for negotiation, he publicly says the guy's a tight end and should be paid like a tight end and not a wide receiver. Give him less money. So he screws his boy, Jimmy Graham, holds out the team for more money. Now he's paying the piper.
Oh, you're talking about Joe? Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I was like, what is he talking about? Drew Brees. Right.
Which is what a lot of people say a lot of time about me, Sharona, is what the heck is he talking about?
Yeah.
But Drew Brees is a greedy guy, and now it's coming to fruition.
Oh, don't say that. Drew Brees is a great dude. And
yeah, he's a saint.
Oh, please. He's on the ethics committee, and you're telling me he didn't know anything about Bountygate?
He was one of the first dudes. To give him his credit, he was one of the first guys. He moved back into the city in New Orleans after Katrina when nobody else would.
Yeah, so he holds out to get $20+ million a year.
Let me just say this about Drew Brees, because I got a bone to pick with Drew Brees, and here it goes. I was at a Saints game where he stomped us 33-3. And I was at this game, and I was sitting on the 45-yard line, 5 yards deep. What in the world is that noise? Did you guys hear that?
That might have been my computer. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It might be somebody. You know that they have that thing on YouTube now where you can give people a cheer or applause? I've never heard it, and I've given it to myself, so I know it exists. And maybe that's what it is. It sounds like somebody's trying to break into the hangout. So Drew Brees is on. Yeah, I was on the 45-yard line, and we were beaten 33-3, and it was the end of the game, and we stayed to the end because we were on the 4th row. And all I could do was say, Drew Brees, your commercials suck. Your wife is a better actress than you are an actor. That's all I had. So I don't know if I won't say he's a bad guy, but when this is the thing, and what you did bring up, Mel, is that when you start messing with money, that's when things get dicey. And I don't blame anybody in the NFL or anywhere for taking the money when they can get it. And I will go back to the example of when Brett Favre did this to, who was that wide receiver that went and played for Denver from Green Bay, and he blew out his knee when he was in a hole.
Who's that?
You're talking about
Jadavian Walker.
Jadavian Walker, is that right?
Javon Walker?
Javon Walker's a wide receiver who blew out his knee. Mm-hmm.
He went to the Raiders, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Brett Favre came out and said that he needed to settle this in-house and not do the sit-out thing, and he comes out, he doesn't sit out the season, he blows out his knee, and he didn't get paid. So, all right, let's move on with finish that thought. Offensive tackle Jake Long, cut by the St. Louis Rams, should sign with, Joe, take it home.
The Carolina Panthers. Total homer. I know, but that's my answer.
Was he a number 1 overall pick?
Yes.
Yep.
For Miami?
At a Big Blue, baby.
That's right. Michigan.
J. Ray, offensive tackle Jake Long, cut by the Rams, should sign with.
I'm a Michigan fan, but I think he's definitely on the decline after having injuries. I think he had 2 injuries?
Two ACL. 2 years.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. He might be like, if the Panthers were to sign them, he might just do the same thing Michael Orr is going to be doing for us. So I honestly don't know who he will play with. I don't know, to be honest with you.
Okay. Mel, who will Jake Long sign with?
I think he'll re-sign with the Rams.
Just at a
Even
cheaper
though they
rate.
cut him?
Yep.
Wow.
Just at a lower rate.
Yep.
Okay. All right, I like that. Sharona, do you see Jake Long lining up anywhere worthy of note?
I could see him back with the Rams. Yeah, I mean that could possibly happen. There are a lot of teams that need help along the offensive line. In fact, the teams that don't need help along the offensive line are easier to name. You know, to me, offensive line play was really down across the league last year. And now I've got to talk to my my new University of Michigan fan about one Taylor Lewan.
There you go. Nice. He's a player.
And we're gonna get into. We got. Okay, good. Because I don't either. Because I leave that talk to you guys and the nerds like Mel Mayock. Last one, Joey. The biggest winner in free agency so far is. Go ahead, Joe.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
The biggest winner in free agency is.
To this point, it has to be. These are the deep thought moments.
Deep thoughts with Joe Riollano. You wrote this question, by the way, so you should.
Know. But so much has changed from the time I wrote it to right now.
You wrote it before free agency.
Oh, that's too funny.
I didn't even get to look at it yet.
Joe, you are a beloved figure, my man.
I'm going to say the biggest winner so far is. Well, since free agency started, Seattle.
Okay. J. Ray.
There you go.
I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills on that one.
That's who I was picking too, and I'm going to skip my answer because this is taking forever. Mel.
Hey, anytime you could stick it to a division rival and bring a beloved guy home, it's got to be the Jets, man. The Jets bringing in Revis, that's a big deal.
Sharona.
Taking them away from the Patriots.
I like what the Colts have done. I like the addition.
I knew you were going there. I was wondering.
I like the addition of Frank Gore and Andre Johnson. I do.
He
so
did
is
sign
Andre
with them?
Johnson
He
official?
definitely did.
What's that?
Is it official with Andre Johnson?
That's the latest that I heard.
I know he was there with Gore visiting, but I didn't know.
They went together, and
Right,
the word was that they were going to sign together. So I'm assuming that that's a done deal. I mean, Andre Johnson wanted to go to a team with a good quarterback. I know that's a huge shocker for everyone.
Yeah.
The Colts always.
He's still looking.
Yeah.
That's our opinion.
Oh, yeah, I know. We're haters. All right. But let's go. We're going to jump in. We're going to ask a couple questions about the Tennessee Titans and wrap up a couple of things still about free agency and the Carolina Panthers. But before then, we got a couple of things that you need to do. Number one, assignment. If you are interested in going to see the Tennessee Titans this year, by the way, is one of these teams. If you want to travel, Carolina Panther fans, and go and take this Panther Nation on the road, you've got to go to RoaringRiot.com. RoaringRiot.com puts together packages for Carolina Panther fans to travel together. They're going to go to see the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're going to go see the Tennessee Titans this year, and I believe they're also traveling to see the Miami Dolphins. Don't quote me on that last one.
The Falcons.
Right now, and the Falcons?
It's the Falcons, not Miami.
Okay, it's the Falcons. Right now, they had over 200 Panther fans sign up to go and see the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, as you can see, the beers are kicking in right now, and I can't wait to go because here's the deal. These guys party hard. They got poolside cabanas, open bar the night before the game. They take you to the game and tailgate. All the accommodations are set up. You sit with 200 Panther fans in an opposing stadium, and you represent. So go and check out RoaringRiot.com and go and represent Panther Nation on the road. Joey, I also heard that people shop on the intranet.
People do shop on the interweb. They are fans of a site called Amazon. I don't know, maybe you've heard of it.
I have.
And actually, CarolinaCatChronicles.com has partnered with Amazon, and we make Amazon available directly through our site. So while you're Exactly, 24/7. So while you're at CarolinaCatChronicles.com, checking out all the latest Panther free agent moves, go ahead and click on Amazon. You can get your fresh, fly Carolina Panthers gear there, like Mel Mayock did. And Amazon is nice enough to give us a little kickback to help us grow Panther Nation and CarolinaCatChronicles.com for any purchases that you make there.
You know, I heard that Dave Gettleman bought Brenton Bersin on Amazon.com through CarolinaCatChronicles.com, but we didn't get any money from it because they didn't pay him anything.
Exactly. I know they bought him a haircut through Amazon.com.
Oh, they did, and then we donated it for charity. All right, let's jump on and get back into the show. Sharona, tell us what has happened with the Tennessee Titans leading up to free agency and then today.
Well, the biggest news probably today was the retirement of former hopeful franchise quarterback Jake Locker. They also signed Harry Douglas to a 3-year deal. I don't remember the details. They signed Searcy from the Buffalo Bills. Safety.
Professor's guy.
Yeah. Safety, a guy who's a kind of an in-the-box type safety. He's going to play strong safety for them. That's going to fill a hole left. Bernard Pollard, injured last year, tore his Achilles, and then wanted to be released by the Titans and got released. So not a lot of moves there. Their outside linebacker, Derek Morgan, they were not able to get him under contract again before free agency.
Looks like he's going to Atlanta, maybe.
Looks like he's going to Atlanta. He's in Atlanta right now. I expect them to make him a very nice offer, and I think that would be a nice place for him. He's headed to Tampa. If he doesn't get a contract there, he'll head to Tampa where he'll get wined and dined, I'm sure, because he is a very, very underrated, solid player, very efficient at rushing the passer, and he's a guy that I really wanted the Titans to lock down, but they weren't unable to do so.
Is he at all a 4-3 defensive end, or is he strictly
Yeah. He played 4-3 defensive end at Georgia Tech, drafted out of Georgia Tech, playing that position when they got rid of the old coaching staff, all the remaining coaching staff, and brought in Ken Wisenhunt and Ray Horton. They moved to a 3-4 base. They had been a 4-3 base. They moved to a 3-4 base, and he switched to the left outside linebacker spot. Really did well. People were concerned about whether he would be able to drop back in coverage. That was an area that he worked really hard at. I got to see him in training camp, and he had not made that transition when the season came around. He had made a lot of strides and was really good at coverage. So, yeah.
I heard at one point that the Panthers had an interest in him as well. That's why I asked.
I think that he'll draw. If for some reason he doesn't sign with the Falcons or with Tampa Bay, he can definitely play that 4-3 end position and is very good at it. He is a very good player. He's a very solid player, and he's going to. I think he's got a whole lot of football left, and I hope that he goes someplace where he'll be happy.
Mel Mayock, you've been working on you worked on a big project with Smoke Wagon on the site on a mock draft, right? And it's been received with some success. Can you tell Sharona who they're picking at number 2?
Yeah, we did a pretty neat exercise at CarolinaCatChronicles.com. You can go out there and check it out. It's under our mock draft, where actually me and one of our most avid followers and now a writer from time to time for Cat Chronicles at
No pressure.
Sam Slater.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. But Smoke Wagon, great follower, one of the more insightful Panther fans out there. He did his picks for the first round for each team, did a write-up and justification as to why, and I did the same, and then I did the second round as well. But in the first round, I pointed out that the Titans were ranked 26th in defense last year, and the best player on the board for them to take is the best player I have ranked, period, in the draft is Leonard Williams out of USC, give you that stud in the middle. Smoke Wagon actually has you taking Kevin White. I think you responded on Twitter and said you're a little inclined to taking Amari Cooper. So
I think Leonard Williams is a fantastic player. They had a lot of success drafting Jarrell Casey out of USC, and that turned out pretty well for them. They've shown a lot of interest in Leonard Williams. They even gave Leonard Williams, they've had him in for a visit. They've spent time with him. They gave him Jarrell Casey's phone number. I know those two have spoken. I think that would be well worthy. That selection would be well worthy of the number 2 overall selection. I do, and he's the kind of player that you can take there and feel that you've gotten good value. Yeah. I don't think defensive line is their biggest issue, and you don't have to, and you shouldn't draft entirely based on need. You should go with that best available player. But the reason why I say that is because, yes, I have been on Team Amari Cooper, and I think that, yes, their defense does need some help, but I don't think the defensive line has been their problem. Their secondary last year sucked. They've got to fix their secondary. And while I like the Searcy signing, they've still got a lot of work to do there. There's not a player that I would feel comfortable taking at number 2 that would help them at that spot. So, yeah, I think I would be okay with Amari Cooper. A lot of people like Kevin White, and I'm okay with that too.
What about in the second round? I have you guys taking A.J. Cann out of one of our followers, Susan, one of her, from her school, University of South Carolina, a big, nasty guard to pair with Chance Warmack you got there. What do you think of that?
I don't like it. They've got a lot of money wrapped up in Andy Levitre. They're not, and I know he's been the talk of a lot of, will he get cut? What are they going to do? They're not going to give up on him. I don't think they've got far too much money invested in him. He is a good player. He's just had injuries. Will they take a guard at some point? I think yes, maybe, but I would think that it would be in the later.
So you would like somebody maybe more like a Marcus Peters, a cornerback out of Washington.
There's so many ways that they could go there. They've got, particularly if they lose Derek Morgan, they've got to get some edge rushers. Edge rusher could be a guy there. Defensive back could be a guy there. I'm far more, and they've still got to address tackle. If they're going to go with offensive line in the second round, I would think tackle would be a position that they're more concerned with than they are guard right now, because hopefully Levitre is going to be healthy. And Chance Warmack really improved last year. He's a guy that showed he's a good player. Rough freshman year, rookie year for him, just a rough year for him. He improved a lot. I'm not sure they've got a good player at center, but he struggled. So there's a lot of different ways that they could go.
You mentioned help in the defensive secondary. I think Cortland Finnegan is a free agent. Would you bring him back?
I was just joking on the NFL female show that I co-host before this one. I'm kind of rooting for chaos, and for if Andre Johnson is signed by the Colts, which I think is going to happen, the Colts, because the Seahawks now have Jimmy Graham, and we all know how Jimmy Graham and Michael Bennett get along so well. I want the Colts to bring in Cortland Finnegan and put Cortland Finnegan and Andre Johnson rooming together and put a camera in there. I will pay money to see that.
A female liking drama. Who would have thought?
Imagine that.
Come on! Tell me you wouldn't like that.
I would watch it. I won't lie. I would watch it.
Was it that Hard Knocks NFL show?
There you go.
I want the Seahawks on Hard Knocks. I'm rooting hard for this.
Yeah.
God, no. All we got to see is damn Pete Carroll drink Dr. Pepper and chew gum all day.
That's a good point.
Does it even diet?
I want to see Jimmy Graham and Michael Bennett room together. Mel, I was totally kidding you.
I'm with you.
I wonder if Cam Chancellor just jumps over everything. I gotta ask J Ray, and I'm gonna ask Joe this about those picks. Is tell me Kevin White or Amari Cooper?
For who are we talking about?
Just in general, who do you like more, Kevin White or Amari Cooper?
Honestly, Kevin White had a great combine, but I was looking at some numbers from some previous players that had similar combine numbers, and it looked like Kevin White was not going to be a good draft pick. I'm actually going to write an article on that, why we shouldn't draft Kevin White.
Wow.
Not to vote against him, but I do have some data to provide for you.
Wow.
I'm going to have that come out, the next day or so. So I'm more of a Amari Cooper fan.
Don't worry, we won't have a chance.
No, we have no shot. But I agree. I think when you look at the level of competition that the players played against, Cooper excelled against the minor leagues of the NFL, which is the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's so much value in the level of competition you face in college and the way you transition to the NFL. And I have to go with Amari Cooper.
No way. I'm on the other side of this. I think Mel moved Kevin White up to the number 1 spot in his wide receiver board.
Yeah.
Number 2?
Yeah. Or number 2 overall.
Okay, but number 1 on the wide receivers, and here is why, is that, look, let me tell you some names of guys that didn't play. Georgia Tech, are they in the SEC? I don't think so. I think they're in the ACC. I heard this dude named Calvin Johnson went there, right?
Who?
There you go.
I heard another guy that went to Georgia Tech as well, which is Demarius Thomas.
Stephen Hill? What about him?
Did he go to Georgia Tech?
Yes, he did.
Okay, so here's the thing, is that those guys didn't put up good numbers in college overall. I mean, they did, but...
But that was the offense they were in. That wasn't them.
Exactly. West Virginia, similar in some ways.
I got to say...
Historically been a good team, and let me just say this about Kevin White, is did you not see that mofo?
Sure.
I mean, did you not physically look at that mofo? He made those every dude at the combine look like boys.
He did.
So did Mike Williams when he left USC.
Oh.
No, not even the same.
What about Dwayne Jarrett?
Kevin White has some incredible hands, dude. But I got to say, asking who do you like between Amari Cooper and Kevin White is like saying who do you like between Jennifer Aniston and Cameron Diaz.
Or Sharona Fabulosa.
Totally.
That's right.
Yeah, throw Sharona in there.
Age-old, I mean, yeah.
I have to tell you, it's Cameron Diaz all day long, brother.
There you go. Then you like Kevin White. There you go.
See, I'm Team Jennifer.
All right.
Team Jennifer.
Don't go wrong.
All right. Well, I was gonna say, you guys got anything left you want to say about the Panthers? Because we still got a couple of things to do before we get out of here.
I do.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Sharona.
Good move locking up Greg Olsen.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Of course, the girl says that. My wife loves Greg Olsen.
Best tight end.
So does mine. Yeah.
He's a great player. His family is adorable, and I think that he's very underrated, and all those are good things.
Now he's the best tight end in the NFC South.
There you go.
That's a sucky way to get that title, though.
No, it doesn't. Well, however he gets it, he is it.
It's like us backing into the NFC Championship last year.
Dude, we'll take it. We'll take it every time.
Okay. Joe, you got anything left to say about the Panthers? Fozzie Waka Waka?
That was a good move, I think. A great depth move, change of pace. He can really. He's a little burner, man. I like that move.
2 years, $1.3 million.
What a steal!
Great
How
deal.
about this? Smoke Wagon just sent me a message. I saw it pop up. It's got a talking about Amari Cooper. Where did it go? Messages. He said Amari Cooper benefited from his senior year playing under Lane Kiffin's system. He said, look no further than Marquise Lee.
Ooh.
Interesting point. Kevin White is still.
I could talk for an hour about how I don't like that comparison.
We'll
Yeah,
find out.
and Cooper played with a bum quarterback.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say.
No, he played in the minor leagues of football.
He did, but the
Minor
quarterback he
leagues
played with
of
was a
the
bum.
NFL.
Nice.
J. Ray, any last thoughts on the Panthers before we move on to fact or fiction? And we have to play it for Susan, or else she'll be mad at me.
Nah, we can go ahead and play that. I just want to say 3-peat, baby. Go ahead.
Right on. Mel, last thoughts before we move?
No, we're good, man. Let's move on. I'm with Jay Ray. 3-peat.
Here it comes.
Yes, sir.
Fact or fiction? That's right. It's time for your favorite game of the week, Fact or Fiction, according to Joey. Joey thinks it sounds like Fact or Fiction. It is Fact or Fiction, where I pose a thought to you and you say it's fact or it's fiction. Number 1, Joey, Fact or Fiction, Michael Orr comes with Sandra Bullock.
Fact. She's an ECU alum, so she's a Carolina Panther fan anyway.
I was hoping you were going to bring that up. Did you know that, J. Ray?
Yes, sir. I did. Yep. That's
All
awesome.
right. Fact or fiction, Michael Orr comes with Sandra Bullock. It's on you, Jay.
Oh, sorry. My bad. I'm with Joey on that one. There's nothing else better to say than what Joey said. So
There you go. Go back to Pirates. Hashtag ECU. Mel Mayock, who also secretly wishes he was a Pirate because our girls always look better than state girls. Michael Orr comes with Sandra Bullock.
Dude, that just is not right. We're going to have a long, off-the-air conversation about that one.
Are you married to a state girl?
No.
All right.
San Diego State girl.
Okay,
Nice.
well, they sound attractive. That sounds like the nicest place on earth.
No doubt about it. No doubt.
Fact or fiction?
Well, I think it's a fact. And Sharona, there was a picture going around from Miss Toohey where she and her family were standing in front of Titan Stadium, all wearing Titan gear, and it was all blacked out and made with Panthers underneath where it was Titans. So I guess she's coming along, and she said she's always been a Panther fan. So got to be bringing Sandra along.
Fact or fiction?
Well, let me just say this. Let me just say this. She's very good at supporting the teams that her children play for, and I think you guys will enjoy her.
I hope so.
Well, I enjoy Sandra Bullock all the time. So that just got weird. Okay. We'll move on from that one. How about this? Fact or fiction, Joey? NFC West will be a battle between the Cardinals and the Seahawks.
That is a fact. Straight fact.
Tell us why.
Both teams have gotten significantly better. I think the Cardinals are really going to be in contention with the return of Carson Palmer. They added Mike Iupati, I think is how you say his name, from the Niners. They're going to be good. They lost Darnell Dockett, but I think they stayed strong where they needed to.
Fact or fiction, J. Ray? Cardinals, Seahawks. Battling for the NFC West.
I don't think it's really a battle. The Seahawks are going to win the division. I mean, they just got Jimmy Graham. I mean, they're getting better. They're not getting worse. They got rid of Byron Maxwell, but they signed Kerry Williams. He might be a good fit there. He'll probably get all the balls because he's going to throw Richard Sherman's side. So
that's a great answer right there. Not even a battle. Mel Mayock, fact or fiction?
Hey, I'm going to keep this show from getting boring here at the end. I'm going to say fiction. Right? And one reason is because you get rid of an all-pro center and you lose an all-pro guard in Carpenter, who signed, I believe, with the Jets today. So you're losing some big hog mollies up in the middle. So
nice.
It's not a fait accompli that they're going to be the same there. If they don't get some big meat in the middle, they're in trouble.
Well done, man.
I thought you were going to say Foles.
You know what? A couple years ago, Foles was the rave of the NFL. Let's see what happens.
You know, if these games get mighty long when we have so many people. Sharona, fact or fiction, Cardinals, Seahawks for the NFC West.
Yes, fact. Although I think that I have to agree, the Seahawks own that division. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't continue to own it. The San Francisco 49ers are a hot mess right now. I mean, I can't even comprehend what their fans are thinking.
Poor Steve Logan. Poor Steve Logan gets back into the NFL and then has to deal with that crap. Another instance of the running quarterback being abandoned. Here is the last question. You know, Joey, in some ways, when we had Sharona on, I was thinking, all right, how are we going to tie this to the Carolina Panthers? How are we going to tie this to the Carolina Panthers? Because we have all of our stuff. We're solely focused on that. And somehow our worlds collided in multiple storylines, one being Michael Orr, but here's another one right here. Former Titan running back and ECU alum Chris Johnson was shot over the weekend in a drive-by shooting. I've heard reports he was shot in the shoulder, the arm, and the leg. Sound like grazes maybe or something like that. Is this fact or fiction? Or actually, which one? Just pick it, because I don't even know how to answer this question that you wrote. Is this wrong spot at wrong time, or is this a case of laying dog getting fleas?
Laying down with dogs and getting fleas.
Fleas are wrong spot.
Do you have your tin and tonic there, Professor?
No. Listen to this. I'm going to read it. I'm looking at the notes right now. It says this. Under fact or fiction, former Titan running back Chris Johnson was shot over the weekend. Is this a case of being in the wrong spot at the wrong time, or a case of laying down with dogs and getting fleas?
I think it's Miller time. That might be screwing you up.
I think it's a case of laying down with dogs and getting fleas.
By the way, I'm on spring break officially starting today. Screw it. I'm going to drink 4 more Millers after y'all leave. Is this fleas or being in a bad spot, J-Ray?
I went to ECU, so I want to say it's just being in a bad spot. I actually was thinking about maybe the Panthers possibly signing Chris Johnson before he got shot. That might have been a good fit, but yeah, I'm going with a bad spot, wrong time.
I like it. You know that there was 3 other people in the car, and they all had the last name Johnson, but it's unconfirmed if they were family members.
Wow.
That's
popular name.
Mel, wrong spot or fleas?
Though I have to say ECU is my second favorite university in the state, I still have to say, since he is from ECU, it has to be a case of laying down and getting fleas.
Oh, come on. Oh, man.
It is what it is.
He got popped. By the way, something has been going down with him because he got in trouble for having a gun like 2 weeks ago.
See?
So,
that's what
I'm saying? Like, I mean, he's been rolling in some tough circles.
Yeah.
Hey, can you mute
Those
Mel?
Florida
Like,
kids
is that
don't play
possible?
around. Sharona, you enjoyed some of the wonderful times of Chris Johnson.
The best of Chris Johnson.
Is this fleas or being in a bad place?
I'm not exactly sure what the fleas mean, but
when a dog, if you lay
definitely not in the wrong place at the wrong time. Maybe it's a case of the dog finally showing his spots. But if you've been paying attention, you know that the squeaky clean image that Chris Johnson was able to maintain in Tennessee, I knew it was not going to last because I knew what Chris Johnson was all about. And you may forget that the trap house that he owns with one Mike Sims Walker, I think some other NFL players might be in on that, also had a shooting, and I don't know if anybody died in that.
A what? Tell us about this. A what?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's a trap house, and he's...
What's a trap house? I'm unfamiliar with this term. It sounds like a place that sounds cool.
It's a house where, allegedly, that NFL players frequent to take their side chicks or jump offs to have sex.
Wow.
That's what a traffic.
Totally sounds cool. No wonder I have not heard of this because I am totally not cool. And I totally do not have a side chick, so that sounds way cooler than my life. Did anybody in this room, in this hangout virtual room, get this?
I thought you had a bug or something flying around.
The Tourette's thing? The Chris
It's
Johnson
Chris
Tourette's thing?
Johnson. It's Chris Johnson in the huddle.
I did.
Oh my gosh. All right. So rumor has it that Chris Johnson A can't read. B, no surprise, ECU graduate.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm an ECU graduate. Hell no, the professor can barely read. We can drink. We can read a damn beer label.
You're not helping, man. You're not helping.
So one time I'm watching the Titans play, and it's when Chris Johnson is just eating the NFL up. And they show Chris Johnson on the sidelines, and he's got a tick that could be Tourette's, that could be, whatever. And he's got the dreads, so when he does this, it's just flopping everywhere and all of this. And the cameraman zooms in on him because he just busted a 35-yard touchdown, and he's on the sidelines by himself, just bobbleheading it all over the place. And the cameraman zoomed over there, and then he zoomed back to the field, and he was like, "Wait a minute." Back to Chris Johnson, and then I swear, no lie, offense gets back on the field, and that cameraman was all over Chris Johnson in the huddle, just like. This is too fun to watch. Chris Johnson still has some gas in the tank, but you're right. I mean, this is a guy that's made a lot of money by this point. I know of some guys that work at a pizza shop here in Greenville. And
just a few guys?
Just a few guys. I know every one of them. And supposedly Chris Johnson came in there, and they had to essentially have him escorted out because it was after closing time, and he wanted to buy all these pizzas, and then supposedly he bought some food or something and then didn't pay for it and left. I mean, obviously this is 3 a.m., but this shooting was at 4 a.m. This is bad things. This is not just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. No way about it.
That is so awful. I'm laughing. I'm going to hell. You guys are making me go to hell for laughing at this.
Okay.
That's the quote of the night right there.
It is that I am a little demon that has achieved my job. I'm helping people get to the wrong place. Bad Catholic. Forgive me, Father. It is time. Yeah, screw tape. I am ready to play Ice Up Son because
you're ready to go have another beer.
There you go. It's time to ice up.
Well, please go with me first because my computer is down to 7 minutes remaining.
All right. This is when we tell someone in the NFL or the world, anywhere, anything, open game, we tell somebody to ice up, son, in the spirit of Steve Smith. And that is where you tell somebody to get it together. Mel Mayock wants to go first. Who you got?
That's it. Well, hey, do you have a picture for me there? Can you bring it up? All right. Nice. All right. Well, let me preface.
Oh my gosh.
Let me preface this statement here by
describe it for our listeners too. The picture.
All right. So here, a nice picture you got. You got a equally awkward look on their face between Rodney Dangerfield and my Ice Up Son pick of the week, Stephen A. Smith. All right. Let me preface this statement by saying, and it's kind of sad that I even have to preface this, but let me preface this by saying racism is the bane of my existence, right? I mean, I grew up in the South, and I got to say, Sharona, I love your accent. I take it that you grew up in the South as well. But and we've seen racism in our lives, and racism has no part in the future of what we're trying to do. I mean, the SAE guys out at the University of Oklahoma, absolutely despicable. Get rid of those guys. But let me say, Stephen A. Smith coming on ESPN and insinuating that Chip Kelly is getting rid of guys because they're African American.
I didn't even hear about that. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, he's insinuating that he's getting rid of guys because they're black and bringing in his Oregon white guys, like Alonzo.
Why do you?
Yeah.
And I mean, they did keep that wide receiver, or did they trade him to St. Louis?
No, they're saying, hey, you kept the racist wide receiver there,
Riley Cooper,
everybody else, but hey, yeah, that racist wide receiver is making $4 million a year, while the guys that you got rid of are making $11 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
He's just trying to stir up. He's trying to use racism to boost his ratings, which is just as bad as racism myself. And the truth is, Chip Kelly's just reincarnating Marty Herney as a GM.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about racism. It's about stupidity as a GM. So, Stephen A. Smith, quit trying to stir up racism with your own ratings. Ice up, son. Get real. Get real.
Nice.
Ice up, Stephen A. Smith. You know, somebody said that DeMarco Murray was rumored to be going to the Philadelphia Eagles, and if so, that means that Chip Kelly is not a racist. I said, duh.
Well, you tried to bring in Frank Gore for crying out loud.
Both of those guys are actually white, and they're playing the part of running back in blackface.
I mean, it's just pathetic. It's just a ready point. It's crazy.
Who's up next?
I'll go. I'm just.
Jump in there.
I was actually going to pick DeMarco Murray. That's funny that you brought that up. He was crying that the Cowboys didn't contact him, so he removed all the Cowboy stuff off of his Twitter page, I guess because his feelings were hurt. But he's going to make plenty of money wherever he goes, and you just said he might be going to the Eagles, so just tell him to ice up, son, because he's going to get paid.
Exactly. Ice up, DeMarco Murray.
And thank God you're not a Jacksonville Jaguar.
Yeah, thank God for that.
Joey Riollano, do you have an ice up son pick?
I do. My ice up son pick is in the division this week, and it goes to Drew Brees. Drew Brees, you knew this day was coming. There was going to be a day of recompense, and you have fallen victim to this day of recompense. You are being thrown out there like a cheap whore, and being flaunted in front of the entire NFL for someone to come and pick you up just so that your team can get under the salary cap. You had all this time to rework this deal that you're getting this year for $26 million. So I say to you, Drew Brees, you've got what's coming to you. Ice up, son.
Yes. Nice
Sharona, would you
I don't know how to follow that. My goodness. I was going to go with Des Bryant because for some reason Des Bryant thinks that he can tell a player whether or not to go play for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's never played there. But I'm going to go for my ice up son with the lame asses who have so little time and such small lives that they have to create these fake NFL insider accounts and mess up my free agency timeline on a day when I don't even want to see them.
Even dogs are mad about
that.
I know.
I agree.
I can understand that. Somebody wrote that the Panthers got Crabtree today, and I was like, take a breath and realize that that is not true because.
What about the Panther fans that were shocked that we let go of D'Angelo Williams?
I know.
Talk about out of touch. You're out of touch.
Are you being serious about people actually being surprised about that?
I know. I was just going to say, just go follow us on Twitter or check out our website because we broke this news, which wasn't broken by us, but by the whole world. These people got the D'Angelo Williams message on a fax machine. today.
Exactly right.
Okay.
They might actually have a life and we don't. That might be the problem. I don't know.
I'm notorious, Sharona, for putting some people in their place in Ice Up Sun picks. The most famed Ice Up Sun pick being a 11-year-old boy in Kansas, in Oklahoma, that I told to Ice Up Sun. But this week I'm going to keep it positive. This week I'm going to put that thing down, flip it, and reverse it. That's right. This is the bottoms up pick, and I've got two this week.
Oh.
I'm throwing up the W's.
Uh-oh.
W's. Throwing up the W's, and my first bottoms up pick goes to Bill Walton with this.
I have milked a cow before, and I have been milked, and I have been milked, and I have been milked.
I'm going to say this.
Nipples, you can milk them.
I'm going to say this one more time. Walton said,
I have milked a cow before, and I have been milked, and I have been milked, and I have been milked.
Walton is the best commentator ever, and a guy that is so zany that nobody cares that he does crap like this. He's just the goofy dude that can do this. So to you, Walton, my first W. I'm glad you've been milked. Because
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
no. I mean, and I'm glad that you're cool. I'm glad you're cool enough that you can say that shit on national TV.
And now you can get a blurb about it.
No, oh man, I heard this on my way to Adoration at 1 a.m. and I laughed so hard, Joey. I had to say some prayers for that. Next is the MVP of the week with Barbara Walters talking to the entire Kardashians.
You don't really act. You don't sing. You don't dance. You don't have any, forgive me, any talent.
Wow.
Barbara Walters, Bill Walton. It is Bill Walton, right?
It is.
Okay, I've been scared.
I think it's
now. You know. So this is to you guys. It's not an ice up. It's a bottoms up. Well done this week. Well done. That's the C3 podcast, guys. Just go ahead and give your parting shout-outs, Joe, where they can find you. You have extended summer hours, we've heard.
Yes. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Riollano. And yes, you can reach me from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Friday. I take the weekends off. So I am available for all your football questions, concerns. If you need any milking, I can refer you to one Bill Walton.
One Bill Walton or a trap house.
Or a trap house, exactly. Sharona is.
I'm kind of surprised you guys didn't know that.
Never heard such
I'm here.
nonsense.
I'm here to educate.
Thank you.
Nice.
Gosh, this conversation could go terrible places. J Ray, how can they get after you, brother?
You can find me on Twitter at JRay19, and I'm going to come out with an article talking about Kevin White, not the diss Mel's pick or rankings, but just why you shouldn't draft Kevin White. But hopefully I'm wrong, so Mel will be right, because he's always right, apparently.
Don't worry. I diss and dismiss Mel all the time, particularly when it comes to technology. Mel, actually, I'm gonna skip over you and come back to you, not as a diss, but in reverence. Sharona, as our guest, tell us how they can find your work.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Sports by Sharona. You can find me at NFL Female and at Pro Player Insiders, and every Friday morning on Game Over with Vashti and Sharona. And I do want to talk to Justin off show about one Taylor Lewan. So
I'm available.
I'm going to have to hit you up on the Twitters.
On the Twitters, I love that because I say I watch the NFL, on the football. I follow the football. Mel Mayock, My man did some great work this week. The superstar. Tell them how they can find you. The most active man I know on Twitter.
Well, hey, let me first say there is nothing cooler than a chick that is into football. So, Sharona, you are awesome in our eyes. We loved having you on tonight.
Thank you. I love Panthers Nation.
Right on.
I'm happy to be here.
Good deal. Well, hey, you can follow me at Panthers Drafter on Twitter. I'm also the Panthers analyst over at drafttech.com. A new mock draft just came out today. We did a big mock draft. I think it was pretty cool and pretty in-depth with me and Smoke Wagon. Go check it out on CarolinaScatChronicle.com. We're going to be doing an update here in a couple weeks. Pretty cool. Hey, I did a lot of work on it, but the professor made it look good, put all the graphics together, made it look like legit stuff. So thank you, Professor. And, hey, we got a lot of exciting things going on at Cat Chronicles, man. It's a great time to be a part of the big C3 show.
That is the truth.
That's good news, people.
It's good news, people. That's the C3 podcast. You can check out our work at CarolinaCatChronicles.com. You can follow us on Twitter at @Cat_Chronicles. And, check us out on Twitter because that's where we roll at the most. And I get a little snarky. I've been accused of being a troll. It's just because I dropped them Twitter bombs on you. That's it, guys. Have a good night.
All right, you too.